The message that changed everything arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning at the Deep Space Listening Array in New Mexico. Dr. Sarah Chen was reviewing the usual cosmic background radiation data when an anomalous signal pattern caught her attention. Unlike the random noise of distant stars or the rhythmic pulses of pulsars, this was different, structured, intentional, and deeply troubling. Within hours, similar reports flooded in from radio telescopes across the globe. The signal was everywhere, bleeding through multiple frequencies, impossible to ignore. It took the world's best cryptographers less than a week to decode its contents, and when they did, humanity's perception of its place in the universe changed forever. The message was simple. Earth had been marked for conquest by the Dominion, an interstellar empire spanning thousands of solar systems. Their assessment of humanity was dismissive, a primitive species barely worthy of notice, useful only for their planet's resources and strategic location. The invasion would commence within 5 Earth years, but the Dominion had made a critical error. They'd assumed that broadcasting their intentions so openly would paralyze humanity with fear. Instead, it ignited something else entirely, a fierce determination that would reshape the galaxy itself. In the weeks that followed, the world's governments did something unprecedented. They united, not with grandiose public declarations or flashy ceremonies, but in absolute secrecy. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, in sprawling facilities hidden from prying eyes, the greatest minds from every nation gathered with a single purpose: survival. Dr. Chen found herself at the heart of this clandestine effort, working alongside theoretical physicists, engineers, and military strategists in a race against time. Their task seemed impossible: to leap centuries ahead in technological development before the Dominion arrived. But they had one advantage their enemies couldn't possibly anticipate: the power of human ingenuity when backed into a corner. The breakthrough came in the most unlikely place: quantum consciousness research. Dr. Chen's team discovered that human consciousness could be translated into quantum states, effectively digitizing the human mind while maintaining its creativity and adaptability. This discovery led to an even more stunning revelation. These quantum consciousness patterns could be transferred into advanced mechanical bodies, creating warriors with human intelligence and creativity, but virtually indestructible forms. Above ground, life continued as normal. Cities buzzed with activity, satellites maintained their usual orbits, and radio transmissions remained delightfully primitive. Any observing alien species would see exactly what humanity wanted them to see: a young civilization, barely able to reach its own moon, hardly worth a second glance. But deep underground, in vast chambers shielded from all detection, humanity was building an army unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Quantum consciousness mechs, powered by revolutionary zero-point energy cells, trained in combat scenarios beyond anything conventional warfare had conceived. Volunteers from military and civilian backgrounds underwent consciousness transfer procedures, forming the core of Earth's secret defense force. The public face of Earth remained carefully maintained, primitive, fractious, and vulnerable. But beneath this facade, humanity was preparing a surprise for the Dominion that would echo across the stars. They weren't just preparing to survive. They were preparing to fundamentally change the balance of power in the galaxy. As the first year of preparation drew to a close, Dr. Chen stood in the central command center of Facility Zero, watching thousands of quantum mechs training in perfect synchronization. Each one contained a human consciousness, every pilot volunteering to be part of humanity's great deception. The sight filled her with both pride and anticipation. "They think we're primitive," she whispered to herself, a slight smile playing across her face. "They think we'll be easy prey, but they're about to learn what happens when you back humanity into a corner." In the depths of space, the Dominion's invasion fleet was already beginning to assemble, their ships dark and menacing against the starfield. They were confident in their superior technology, their overwhelming numbers, their centuries of military doctrine. But they were about to face something they'd never encountered before: humanity's unmatched ability to innovate, adapt, and overcome. The game was set, the pieces in motion, and when the Dominion finally arrived, expecting to find a helpless primitive species, they would instead discover that humanity had been silently preparing to teach them a lesson they would never forget. The Dominion scout ships arrived 3 years into Earth's preparation, their stealth technology rendering them nearly invisible to conventional detection methods. Nearly, but not quite. Deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, in a facility known only as Node 7, Dr. Marcus Wong watched their movements on quantum detection arrays that shouldn't exist for centuries according to the Dominion's intelligence. "They're testing our defenses," Marcus reported to the Global Defense Council, his hologram flickering slightly in the secure chamber 2 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean. 3 ships running passive scans of our major population centers. They're being cautious, methodical. Admiral Sarah Chen, formerly Dr. Chen, nodded with satisfaction. The deception was working perfectly. The Dominion scouts were detecting exactly what humanity wanted them to see: outdated satellite networks, primitive nuclear power plants, and military technology that would have been cutting edge 50 years ago. All carefully maintained illusions hiding the truth of humanity's quantum leap forward. The scout ships spent 3 months conducting their survey, never once detecting the vast network of underground facilities that now honeycomb the planet. They didn't notice the quantum energy signatures of the consciousness transfer chambers, couldn't detect the training grounds where thousands of human-piloted mechs prepared for war. Most importantly, they remained completely unaware of Project Eclipse, humanity's ultimate answer to the Dominion's threat. In a facility beneath the Mariana Trench, Dr. Elena Santos supervised the final stages of Eclipse's development. The project represented the pinnacle of humanity's forced evolution, a quantum-based technology that could temporarily phase an entire planet out of normal spacetime. If it worked, it would be the cornerstone of Earth's defense strategy. If it failed, but failure wasn't an option humanity was willing to consider. The consciousness transfer success rate has reached 99.9%, Elena reported during the weekly council meeting. The neural mapping improvements had eliminated the last traces of disorientation during the transition. Our warriors are now operating their quantum mechs with greater efficiency than their original biological bodies. The council chamber hummed with approval. Around the table, holographic representations of humanity's leaders, military, scientific, and civilian, nodded in satisfaction. Everything was proceeding according to plan, ahead of schedule in most areas. The Dominion scouts would return to their fleet with exactly the wrong information, precisely as intended. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected quarter. In a hidden facility beneath the Australian outback, a team led by Dr. James Cooper had made a discovery that would change everything. They had found a way to manipulate quantum fields on a massive scale, creating weapons that could disrupt the very fabric of spacetime. The implications were staggering. "The quantum disruptors are ready for mass production," James announced, his normally reserved demeanor crackling with excitement. "Early tests suggest they can disable Dominion shields without any visible energy signature. They'll never see it coming." The pieces were falling into place. Around the world, hidden factories worked tirelessly, producing quantum mechs and weapons in numbers that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. The consciousness transfer program had more volunteers than it could process, humans from every nation, culture, and background, united in their determination to defend their world. When the scout ships finally departed, their commanders were confident in their assessment. Earth was precisely what they expected, a primitive world ripe for conquest. Their report to the Dominion fleet was concise and dismissive. Minimal orbital defenses, limited space travel capability, and rudimentary weapons technology. The planet's most advanced computers were barely able to process quantum calculations at a basic level. In the council chamber, Admiral Chen watched the scouts depart with a predatory smile. "They took the bait," she announced to the assembled leaders. "Every scrap of false data, every carefully crafted illusion. They think we're helpless." The council erupted in carefully controlled celebration. Phase 1 of humanity's grand deception was complete. Now came the harder part, maintaining the illusion of normalcy while completing the final preparations for Project Eclipse. The Dominion fleet would arrive in less than 2 years, expecting to find an easy conquest. Instead, they would encounter a humanity transformed, not through alien technology or outside intervention, but through the uniquely human combination of necessity, ingenuity, and sheer determination. The quantum mechs were ready, their human pilots trained to perfection. The quantum disruptors were stockpiled in hidden bases around the globe. Project Eclipse was entering its final testing phase. As the council meeting concluded, Admiral Chen remained behind, studying the holographic display of Earth's hidden defenses. The network of underground facilities, the squadrons of quantum mechs, the web of quantum sensors, all invisible to the Dominion's most advanced detection systems. Humanity had achieved in 4 years what most civilizations took centuries to develop. "Let them come," she whispered to the empty chamber. "Let them come expecting weakness. They'll learn what humanity can do when its existence is threatened. They'll learn why you should never corner a species that thrives on overcoming the impossible." In the depths of space, unaware of the trap they were walking into, the Dominion fleet continued its preparations for what they believed would be a simple conquest. They had no way of knowing that their arrival would mark not the end of human independence, but the beginning of a new era in galactic history. The Dominion fleet emerged from hyperspace in waves, their massive warships darkening Earth's orbit like storm clouds gathering before a tempest. 10,000 ships strong, they represented the largest invasion force ever assembled in the galaxy's known history. Fleet Commander Xareth stood on the bridge of his flagship. The inevitable conquest, his 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the seemingly defenseless planet below. "Status report," he commanded, his translator converting his native clicking speech into standard galactic basic. "My lord, preliminary scans show." "Nothing," his sensor officer reported, confusion evident in her voice. "No orbital defenses, no space fleet, no energy signatures from their primitive nuclear installations. The planet appears abandoned." The Xareth's spine ridges bristled with unease. This wasn't what their scouts had reported. The humans should have been here, going about their primitive lives, perhaps mounting some futile last-minute defense. Instead, there was only silence. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in humanity's central command, Admiral Chen watched the Dominion fleet's arrival through quantum sensor arrays. Around her, the combined military leadership of Earth maintained absolute silence as they observed their enemy's confusion. Project Eclipse had worked perfectly. To the Dominion sensors, Earth appeared completely devoid of life. "All quantum mech squadrons, report status," Chen ordered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Alpha through Zeta squadrons, ready and phased," came the response from Colonel Maya Patel, her consciousness controlling a quantum mech from a secure facility beneath the Indian Ocean. Similar reports flooded in from commanders around the globe, all safely out of phase with normal spacetime, invisible to even the most advanced Dominion sensors. Above, the Dominion fleet spread out, beginning their standard conquest formation. Xareth dispatched scout ships to the surface, their crews tense and uncertain as they descended through Earth's atmosphere. They found cities empty of life, vehicles abandoned in streets, buildings silent and dark. Everything was intact, but the humans had vanished without a trace. "My lord," one scout commander reported, his voice shaking, "we'd found their primitive defense installations, their weapons, their vehicles, their communications equipment, all still in place, but no signs of the humans themselves. It's as if they simply disappeared." Xareth's unease grew into genuine concern. In all the Dominion's history of conquest, they had never encountered anything like this. His tactical training screamed that this was wrong, that they were missing something crucial. But the sensor readings were clear. There was no sign of life, no energy signatures, no indication of any defense beyond the primitive technology they had expected to find. "Begin the landing," he ordered finally. "Full combat protocol." I want secured landing zones established in every major population center. Find out what happened here." In the command center, Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. "They're committed," she announced to her staff. "All units, prepare for Phase 2. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Humanity's future begins today." The Dominion ground forces landed in waves, their dropships descending through Earth's atmosphere like metallic rain. They established beachheads in New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, and a dozen other major cities, their troops moving with practiced precision through empty streets and abandoned buildings. "Perimeter established, my lord," reported Ground Commander Vexol from what had once been Times Square. "No resistance, no signs of recent human activity. We're detecting residual radiation consistent with their primitive nuclear technology, but nothing that would explain their disappearance." Tharith paced the bridge of his flagship, his mind racing. Something was wrong. A species didn't simply vanish, leaving everything intact behind them. The humans had been here just months ago. Their satellites still orbited the planet. Their primitive transmissions still bounced through space. Where had they gone? How had they gone? The answer came with devastating suddenness. "Energy spike," screamed his sensor officer. "Massive quantum fluctuation detected. It's everywhere." Around the globe, in perfect synchronization, humanity's trap was sprung. Project Eclipse reversed, bringing Earth and its defenders back into phase with normal spacetime. But they didn't return alone. The quantum displacement created a cascading wave of energy that rippled through reality itself, overwhelming Dominion shields and disrupting their most basic systems. In an instant, the empty cities were filled with quantum mechs, each one housing a human consciousness, each one armed with weapons that defied the laws of physics as the Dominion understood them. They emerged from quantum shadows, appearing literally inside Dominion defensive positions, their weapons already firing. The Dominion ground forces, scattered across the globe, found themselves surrounded and outmaneuvered before they could even register what was happening. The primitive technology they had detected was revealed as elaborate props, hiding quantum energy cores and advanced weapon systems that made their own arsenals look primitive by comparison. Tarith watched in horror as his invasion force, the pride of the Dominion military, was systematically dismantled by an enemy that had seemingly materialized from nowhere. His sensors, finally functioning properly, showed him the truth: the humans hadn't fled. They had been here all along, hidden in ways his civilization had never imagined possible. As the battle erupted across the surface of Earth, Admiral Chen's voice echoed through every Dominion communication channel, transmitted in perfect galactic basic. "You thought us primitive. You thought us weak. You thought you could simply take our world. Now learn what happens when humanity is pushed too far. Now learn why you should have left us alone." The real battle for Earth was about to begin, and the Dominion was about to learn that they had drastically underestimated humanity's capacity for innovation, adaptation, and survival. The first wave of humanity's counterattack was unlike anything the Dominion had encountered in their 1,000 years of conquest. Quantum mechs phased in and out of reality, striking with devastating precision before vanishing again. Each machine moved with impossible grace, combining human intuition with computational power that made the Dominion's most advanced AI systems seem primitive by comparison. Colonel Maya Patel, leading Alpha Squadron from her quantum mech, carved through the Dominion's ground forces in what had once been downtown Shanghai. Her consciousness, perfectly merged with her mechanical body, processed battlefield data at speeds that would have been impossible for a human brain alone. Around her, her squadron executed maneuvers that defied conventional physics, using quantum displacement to appear inside Dominion defensive positions. "Alpha Squadron, Quantum Strike Pattern Delta," she commanded, her thoughts instantly transmitted to her team. As one, they activated their quantum disruptors, creating a cascading wave of spatial distortions that turned the Dominion's energy shields against them. Tanks and battle mechs crumpled as space itself twisted around them. In orbit, the battle was even more spectacular. Admiral Chen had unveiled humanity's space fleet, vessels that had been hidden in quantum pocket dimensions, waiting for this moment. Unlike the bulky, imposing ships of the Dominion, these were elegant machines that seemed to dance between the stars. Each one was powered by zero-point energy cores and controlled by human consciousness collectives, allowing them to react and adapt with unprecedented speed. All vessels, execute Operation Starfall, Chen ordered from her command center. The human fleet responded instantly, engaging their quantum drive cores in perfect synchronization. The fabric of space-time rippled as hundreds of ships performed micro-jumps simultaneously, appearing inside the Dominion fleet's formation. Fleet Commander Kareth watched in horror as his carefully arranged battle lines dissolved into chaos. Human ships would appear within meters of his vessels, fire weapons that ignored shields completely, then vanish before his gunners could respond. Every tactic, every strategy the Dominion had perfected over centuries of warfare was being countered by technology that shouldn't have been possible. "My lord," his tactical officer reported, panic evident in his voice, "we're detecting quantum signatures throughout the fleet. They're inside our ships." The next phase of humanity's attack revealed itself. Quantum mechs had teleported directly into key positions aboard Dominion vessels, their human pilots executing precision strikes against critical systems. Engineering decks, weapon controls, and bridge sections were targeted simultaneously across the entire fleet. Dr. James Cooper, now piloting a specialized infiltration mech, led the assault on the inevitable conquest itself. Remember, he transmitted to his strike team, "Minimal casualties. We're here to disable, not destroy." His team moved through the flagship like ghosts, their quantum fields allowing them to pass through solid matter at will. The Dominion crew, faces masked by their battle armor, fought bravely but hopelessly against an enemy they couldn't effectively engage. Their weapons passed harmlessly through quantum-phased mechs, while precisely calibrated quantum disruptors shut down system after system. In low Earth orbit, Dr. Elena Santos coordinated the deployment of Project Eclipse's secondary phase. Quantum field generators activated worldwide, creating a network of spatial distortions that trapped Dominion ships in bubbles of altered spacetime. Vessels that tried to escape found themselves moving in circles, their advanced navigation systems rendered useless by physics they didn't understand. "Status report," Admiral Chen demanded, her holographic form flickering between command stations around the globe. "Ground forces have secured all major landing zones," Maya reported from Shanghai. "Dominion resistance is isolated and disorganized. Their command structure is collapsing. Orbital engagement proceeding as planned," came the report from the space fleet. 80% of Dominion vessels are contained or disabled. No significant damage to Earth's infrastructure. The battle had turned into a rout. The Dominion fleet, the most powerful military force in known space, was being systematically dismantled by technology that violated everything they thought they knew about physics and warfare. Ships that managed to escape the quantum fields found themselves pursued by vessels that could cross light years in seconds, their human crews operating with perfect unity through their consciousness links. On the bridge of the inevitable conquest, Fleet Commander Xareth made his final decision. "All forces," he broadcast on all frequencies, "stand down. I repeat, stand down." He turned to face the quantum mech that had materialized on his bridge, its human pilot's consciousness radiating a sense of calm authority. We surrender." Throughout the solar system, the greatest armada ever assembled by the Dominion lowered their weapons. In cities across Earth, their ground forces laid down their arms, staring in a mixture of fear and awe at the quantum mechs that had so thoroughly defeated them. Admiral Chen's voice echoed through every ship and comm system. "Your surrender is accepted. Now, let us show you what humanity can offer when we come together as allies rather than enemies." The battle was over. In less than 6 hours, humanity had not only defended their world, but had demonstrated military and technological superiority that would reshape the balance of power throughout the galaxy. But as Admiral Chen knew, Winning the battle was only the beginning. Now came a harder task, showing the galaxy a better way forward. 1 month after the Battle of Earth, representatives from every major galactic civilization gathered in a vast conference chamber beneath the Pacific Ocean. The room hummed with nervous energy as delegates from 1,000 worlds watched humanity unveil their true capabilities to the galaxy. Admiral Sarah Chen, now Earth's primary representative to the galactic community, stood before the assembled delegates. Behind her, a quantum hologram displayed the technological achievements that had allowed humanity to defeat the Dominion's invasion force. Former Fleet Commander Xareth, now serving as the Dominion's peace envoy, sat in the front row, his 4 eyes fixed on the presentation with a mixture of humility and fascination. "What you witnessed was not just a military victory," Chen explained, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. "It was proof that necessity truly is the mother of invention. When faced with extinction, humanity chose to innovate rather than submit. But more importantly, we now choose to share rather than dominate." Dr. Elena Santos stepped forward, activating a series of quantum displays that showed the practical applications of their breakthroughs. "Our advances in quantum mechanics and consciousness transfer have implications far beyond warfare. Imagine medical facilities where consciousness can be preserved while bodies are healed, or deep space exploration conducted by transferred consciousness, eliminating the risks of physical space travel." The delegates murmured with interest as Dr. James Cooper demonstrated the civilian applications of quantum field technology: energy production without pollution, instantaneous transportation without massive infrastructure, and computing power that could help solve problems that have plagued all our civilizations for millennia. In the weeks that followed, Earth became the center of a technological renaissance. The underground facilities that had served as humanity's secret weapon development centers were transformed into research institutes and training facilities. Scientists from across the galaxy worked alongside human experts, learning to harness the power of quantum mechanics in ways their civilizations had never imagined possible. The Dominion, humbled by their defeat, underwent a radical transformation. Under Xareth's leadership, they began dismantling their empire of conquest, instead focusing on diplomatic and technological cooperation with their former subjects. The quantum technology shared by humanity helped ease this transition, providing solutions to resource shortages and territorial disputes that had fueled their expansionist policies. Maya Patel, her consciousness still housed in her quantum mech by choice, led the formation of a new peacekeeping force. Unlike the Dominion's armadas, this force was composed of volunteers from all species, trained in the use of quantum technology, but dedicated to preservation rather than destruction. They became known as the Quantum Guard, protectors of the new galactic peace. Dr. Marcus Wong's breakthrough in quantum communication revolutionized galactic society. Species that had been separated by vast distances could now interact in real time, sharing culture, knowledge, and ideas instantaneously. A golden age of cultural exchange began, breaking down centuries of prejudice and misunderstanding. But perhaps the most profound change came in how the galaxy viewed humanity. The species that had been dismissed as primitive and confined to their own solar system emerged not as conquerors, but as teachers and innovators. Earth's universities and research centers became crowded with students from thousands of worlds, all eager to learn the unique human approach to problem-solving that had produced such extraordinary results. "We stand at a crossroads," Admiral Chen addressed the newly formed Galactic Council 6 months after the battle. "The power we now possess could be used to dominate, to rule through force as the Dominion once did. Instead, we choose a different path. We choose to be guardians rather than conquerors, teachers rather than masters." The quantum mechs, once weapons of war, were repurposed for peaceful exploration. Teams of consciousness-transferred humans ventured into the unknown regions of space, discovering new worlds and new species, always approaching with diplomacy rather than aggression. The technology that had saved Earth from conquest became a tool for understanding the universe's greatest mysteries. In the heart of Sydney, where one of the hidden quantum research facilities had been, a new institution rose. The Institute for Quantum Advancement became a symbol of humanity's new role in the galaxy, a place where beings from every corner of known space could come together to learn, innovate, and grow. On the first anniversary of the Battle of Earth, as thousands of ships from hundreds of species gathered in peaceful celebration around the planet, Admiral Chen stood in the same command center where she had coordinated humanity's defense. The screens that had once shown battle plans now displayed a galaxy transformed. Trade routes connecting former enemies, joint scientific missions exploring the unknown, and quantum technology being used to heal worlds ravaged by centuries of conflict. "We faced extinction," she mused to her assembled staff. Their consciousness transferred forms gathered around her, and instead found transcendence. Not through conquest, but through innovation. Not through domination, but through cooperation. Outside, Earth had become the heart of a new galactic civilization. The quantum technology that humanity had developed in secret now powered a renaissance of science, art, and exploration. The species that had once been quarantined to their own solar system had become teachers to the galaxy, showing that the greatest power lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to create and share. As the celebration continued above, humanity looked to the future with hope and purpose. They had proven themselves not just equal to the galaxy's oldest civilizations, but worthy to lead them into a new era of peace and discovery. The silence that had hidden their preparation had given way to a symphony of cooperation, echoing across the stars with the promise of a better tomorrow.